Hey, everybody, tune in to Recent Tartarians.
Recent Tartarians. Recent Tartarians.
Hello?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
I just did, just now.
Can you hear me? Okay.
I can now hear you. Can't see you.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out where's the setting.
Command comment to your settings. You got to set.
There we go.
Look at him. Look at that beautiful boy. Hey. Nice beard.
Hey, you want to check out? Move my camera over so you can get the view.
Oh yeah, you got the mess in the whole other room. This time it's like separated.
No, I want to show you something specific.
Okay, I'm just teasing you.
God dang it! It's not gonna open.
Oh no!
It's too much stuff. So let me just describe it to you. No, I can't do that. God dang it!
Is your computer desktop? So you can't even.
No, it's it's my crypto machine, man.
I can't see the crypto machine. No, come on.
And you could just barely see it. Look, it's the edge of it.
This is not Rosemary's Baby in the other room. I want to be able to see this.
I know that. I know. Hold on,
I don't mean to be this demanding, but I'm just thinking.
Let me do some slight reorganizing of my old gas bottles that I need to filter out and let run outside so that I can go and dispose of them at the disposal center.
So I can tell you and your girlfriend are doing pretty decently because you look like you've gained a little bit of weight, but you actually lost a bit. You've lost a bit of a baby face at the same time, and your beard looks super like Qui-Gon Jinn. So
it's getting there.
It's pretty nice. I'm impressed.
It's getting there.
I have to shave every day finally for the first time in my life.
See all these gas bottles?
Oh yeah, I'm confused.
This is from 3 years worth of dabs.
I'm confused by you sometimes, but not because of the dabs. I'm about to pack my own, so don't worry.
I quit, man. I didn't tell you.
You quit?
Yeah, quit smoking.
Do you like quit dabbing too? You're like fully.
I just quit everything. Quit cigarettes. Quit.
Whoa.
Everything.
Wow.
I found.
You found Jesus?
Well, no, I found something kind of sort of like Jesus, but I think that you know what I found? I found what Jesus found.
You found Scientology, Dianetics?
No. Well, in that sense, I found what L. Ron Hubbard found.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's what we're doing. You and me are gonna start a religion, and it's gonna start out. I'm
already gonna start a religion.
I know. I'm just pulling myself into your fucking equation. I'm like, JP, I'm coming with you.
Can you see the machine?
Barely. I mainly see like a man stripper in front of the machine. But yeah, no, I see it. There's a rack there, and
so the cards are sit vertically.
Nice. And what are you mining?
So that the heat rises. And the fans pull all the cool air down that way. I'm using gravity to create a heating structure.
That's good.
That is not a normal way to do the mining. Abnormal mining, I guess.
You've got plumber crack. I won't put that on the video is all I'm saying.
I'm good.
I won't put the plumber crack. But awesome. That's fucking awesome. What are you mining? What are you mining?
Ethereum.
Oh, you're doing it straight up. Nice.
As long as it's still available.
Yeah. Well, I want to start mining LBC because I think that's going to be worth some money. The library coin. Well.
Yep, I'm definitely healthier.
Yeah. You look like you're more without the weed probably.
Yeah, I'm 303 pounds.
Oh, you don't quite look it, but I think you're tall is also the thing. You're tall, right? Yeah. Well, so wait, then over COVID you've gained a little bit of weight, you think?
No.
Because you didn't seem like you were 300 and some odd pounds.
Yeah, well, I mean, everybody wants to blame things on COVID. It's, COVID is a symptom of society. Just as is obesity is a symptom of society.
They're
both symptoms.
Being anorexic is bullshit. Like, no offense to Ian, but like the kid's gonna fall over when his shadow like dies in the street of hunger. You know what I mean? Like, it's good to have. I'm like 190 a lot of the time. I used to be 120, and I need
to be more anorexic.
Well, you switch it back and forth. I think what you want to do is a bit of intermittent fasting every once in a while is
If
good.
they keep opening Chick-fil-A's down here, man, I'm never gonna get skinny.
Well, I mean, again, like being skinny is not, it's overrated. But what's good about fasting is you'll digest like your radical, potentially mutagen cells. So that's nice. But yeah, I don't like to starve myself. I'm gonna move to Spain and be 300 pounds like Marlon Brando. So you're actually more like, again, the main reason I wanted to do a video with you again. I mean, there's a lot of reasons. Like I've been meaning to do it since the last one, but it's just because whenever I think like, man, I'm about to use magic to make my life the best possible life, I think I got to talk to John Paul Larson because he knows exactly how to manifest, like literally manifest like the perfect possible reality by knowing what is the better reality and figuring out what steps you have to take to move into it. It's basically like if you'd said that to me as like a woman in child psychology in third grade, I would have thought you were just like a normal therapist. Be like, yeah, what steps do you have to take to make your life better? But the magic level of it, that you've really kind of shown me, it's just so incredible. And it's like, if since I've talked to you, think about what's happened in my life. I mean, I'm working for I have a very successful like mainstream gig where I'm in the middle of a lot of things now, and I'm with Ian, and we're doing things with the people that we want to work with. So it's like, to manifest our reality, it includes you, but more than that, like I need your advice. So this is sort of an interview, but it's also just like a conversation where I'm asking you advice about life.
I mean, for me, whenever I was, whenever I was young, it was almost like I woke up into, like I've told you before, like starting over from scratch, and looking ahead. I was always, communicating with a version of myself that was in another manifestation, something that I hadn't yet fully realized. And in some senses, I have an opinion of Jesus where, you know, I believe in the manifestation of what he stood for. In this case, he you know s- stands for this spiritual dilemma where he's a king in another world, and that in that light he has manifested his own death in the way that it happened historically for us. However, you another version of that living manifestation went forward and actually became king, as in the Jesus that we know that died on the cross is not the Jesus that had an endless opportunity at manifestation, in this case resurrection.
It's like a
you know,
created transition from one to
well,
the other.
well, what resurrection truly stands for is, even murderers and thieves, every single human being on the planet,
And by the way, we're
since
talking from a gamer's perspective instead of just a religious.
yes, I understand. Like, yeah, like as a player in a game environment, you can start up in an MMO and be the worst person and go killing everybody, and restart yourself as the same character, starting from scratch, and play a completely different role and end up a completely different person in the same world.
That's the big thing with Jesus is they make it sound, a lot of people act like he's just without doing wrong, but it's more that he's so Chad about doing right. Like the things he did, making fish for everyone, making wine out of water, the way he died are just the most Chad possible ways to like game life, so you come off as like the coolest possible dude. Like that's part of gamification of Christ.
Well, I mean, I think that the reality of his situation is that, he wanted to trust Judah in what would be considered our reality span. And I think in our reality span, he was giving him one last chance, and he totally failed again. And I've had friends like that where, in this restart that I've had, I've tried to give them an opportunity. to change the futures that they could have. And they just, some of them did, but they didn't do it for any better than they did before. Like I had my friend Bo Litz, he died several times in several past restarts, early, and I prevented that from happening this time, all the different times, kind of like Groundhog Day. I feel like Bill Murray, trying to catch the little boy in the tree every time, and prevent my friend Bo Litz from, dying from an overdose.
Yeah.
And now he's methed out. He's got janky teeth, and he's still alive, but it's like he didn't learn much from the circumstance. So there's some people that just it is up to them to become hopeful. You can't force other people to have hope. All you can do is have hope for other people, and that hope, if it transitions to their belief structure, great. If it doesn't, you can't really let that phase you, because at least you tried.
Well, okay, so then getting on to Scientology as quickly as that. So what's up with Scientology as it gives hopeless people? I mean, first time I ever saw the thing, I was like, and I'd been told all my life, be careful about, they'll if you become an SP, they're going to get you. But, I got to Hollywood, like, why would anyone join a group that sounds like that? And then I'm like hungry without a job, and I see all these dudes and women in blue tracksuits running around the Blue Temple, and they've got a job, and they've got food, and they've got a place to stay, and they've got a community. I'm like, oh, I get it. That's why Scientology works so well. Beyond the fact that he's got a pretty, like, Dianetics is a pretty interesting book.
They're like one animal unit.
Yeah, it's like an organism, super organism.
Like they're like a super organism that considers themselves one step down from a hive mind.
Totally. And like the people that are I've seen a lot of people that have left the thing or like won't want to talk about it. I mean, in fact, I don't even know if I can say some of the names of the people. Like I've met some really interesting, really like key members, but like a lot of the time what'll happen is, I'm even afraid to explain how they got in, because then someone could figure out like who I'm talking about. But people that are, like Narconon, for instance, is a group that's not Al-Anon, but it's like, it's run by Scientologists. And so if you got to call a suicide hotline, or you've got a drug problem in Hollywood, you end up talking, or anywhere, you end up talking to them. A lot of the time you end up in their group. And like, I think, well, one person that could be mentioned, at least, the guy from My Name is Earl, Jason Lee. Like he's basically walked off from the show, from Scientology, from everything, and his wife and him are like retired in Texas. And it's mainly because the control mechanisms of what happened to Scientology. But in terms of its benefit, I mean, like, you can't deny the superorganism quality. You can't deny all the
their position is denying soul for a like a physical rise. And that's the whole point of the ladder. From their perspective, rising you up the ladder is taking you through more or less a neutral buildup of your character, I guess is the right way. But the problem with that I have is that the only character that they integrate into your personality is one that meshes only with Scientology and not with society outside Scientology. So as much as I enjoy studying alternative religions, they have, they're not on my shit list, so to speak, but in the same light, I don't really study it anymore because I've grown beyond it.
That's the thing. I feel like they need us, I mean, because like they've deviated so far from their original goal, and we've come further towards the original goal. So like really, like they kind of should join us, not the other way around.
Well, in one sense, I believe that, but in another sense, they have a place in the yin and the yang.
What's that place?
Well, where they were once the yin running ahead of the yang, they have now become the yang.
Oh man, the Yang Gang.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they kind of are. I mean, because Miscavige was giving respect to Miscavige, literally giving him respect. He was going to do it. Like, he was a teenager who overcame a lot of trouble. He had like, he couldn't speak clearly, and now he's like the announcing narrator from like Coming Soon, OT8. Like, he's really he's become pretty like successful at his personality cult. But yeah, there's been a transitional period where the religions become, it used to be like the outside, the dark horse, the underdog, and then they've eventually taken over and become the mainstream. And when they were like needing to kind of defend their position, now they've become like, they're integrated into the mainstream bureaucracy of like different states and of intelligence, Hollywood and Washington D.C., amongst other places around the world, are hotspots for Scientologists. So it is like, it's pervasively become the mainstream thing, and that's a trip.
I mean, where I am with that is, I learned the self-auditing. I learned, the process of that. But then I found that, I guess in my opinion, what L. Ron Hubbard was trying to settle on was, taking what psychology was trying to achieve and get back to a more religious outlook, and in a lot of senses try to give credit to all the religions that eventually founded psychology. As in, psychology, explodes into the mainstream in the 1920s and the 1930s, and all of a sudden, their focus and their view is to just throw out the baby with the bathwater and not give any credit to any of the the psychosocial religions that led to the immersion, in this case, the development of psychology. I mean, and in that case, he was more referring to just psychology. And what was psychology back then is, it was like psychology today and psychiatry today. They were one and the same. I totally believe that it was only his effort to just break that apart, so that there was all this middle ground of philosophy in between, and he wanted to be a part of that philosophy. He just wanted to be recognized as someone who put his mark on history and philosophy. Problem with that was he stole a lot of Scientology from Aleister Crowley and what's his name, Parsons.
Jack Parsons.
Jack Parsons.
I was gonna say, even beyond that, because a lot of people were listening to this. They probably don't even know what we're all talking about. You want to go a little deeper into the relationship that Aleister Crowley, who was considered himself the Antichrist, like, you want to go into that, and even Marjorie Cameron, like the women,
and Freud. He took a lot of tutelage from Freud during the cocaine trials in Sandusky, Ohio. I mean, I don't think people realize that in the 1924, Sigmund Freud was in America doing medicinal trials for possibly, having cocaine be a medicinal supplement in asylums.
I mean, they were trying to figure out what to do with it. They've been using it for the last couple hundred years. It was in Coca-Cola. They've got to figure out what they could do to get people off morphine.
This is before the day of methamphetamines and methoelectives and stuff like that.
This is a
like
couple months before that.
Vyvanse and Adderall and stuff like that. Yeah.
Dextro and Bromo started coming out literally right after that. So
I know, that's what I mean. So it's like, what I think that what happened was when those medicinal supplements started to emerge, I mean, that is around the time where Sigmund Freud stopped his cocaine usage and got
Very few people call meth a medicinal supplement. I like it's very daring. I appreciated that.
Well, it was a medicinal supplement.
That's what they called it. That's what they thought they were inventing. And like, I mean, they eventually just gave it to Air Force pilots, but yeah, I mean, well, also
at one point, LSD was a medicinal supplement.
yeah, an acute schizophrenic. Well, okay, so didn't Marjorie Cameron work in therapy too? So Jack Parsons' wife, who ended up having an affair with Aleister Crowley and with L. Ron Hubbard.
Oh, you say affair, but
a ritual sex orgy.
Yes,
okay,
in that society that they had, I'm sure it was, maybe a story that came out that it was like, affair like.
Wife swapping, whatever you want to call it.
Well, I'm sure that Jack Parsons didn't find it very amusing whenever he got better in his life. I'm never going to stay sober because I never believe that he ever got sober.
Yeah, he fell to pieces, but literally when he exploded. Sorry.
Yeah, whenever his views in life began to shut down. That's the better way to look at it.
So also for the noobs who aren't familiar with Jack Parsons, he was a rocket designer. We still have solid state pentagonal pentacles, like stars, where the fuselage connects the solid state fuel to the jets. So jets still use this Jack Parsons thing. Problem with Jack Parsons, beyond the fact that he had this weird sex ritual where they tried to have the moon child from the Never-Ending Story 9 months before Hillary Clinton was born, and they had like the paperclip scientists doing like Babylonian magic and Egyptian like spells chanting around him having sex with this woman. All this interesting stuff, right? Like to make a movie about, but then he dies when his lab explodes. So, Whoa, what do you got there?
So these are the Ordo Templi Orientis decks.
Oh, the OTO Tarot? The Tarotio? What do you want to call this?
It's OTO, yeah.
Is it tarot deck or is it just angel cards?
This is the Aleister Crowley organized deck.
That's cool. Over there I have the Thoth deck, Crowley's Thoth deck.
That's what this is.
Really? It's the same? Yeah. Hold on, I'll be right back.
I have a specific version now. There's two different versions.
Okay, so mine's green. It's not.
Yes, I understand that. There's two different versions.
Yeah. Okay. So mine's this one.
Yes, you have the new. What's called the new collective thought. So it's like basically new age thought. Yeah, they're very similar, but these are the original art cards.
Oh, really? So these are the modernized?
Those are the modernized, yeah.
I believe, didn't he? I was told that he painted these. Are these not his pictures, his illustrations?
No, those are his.
Okay.
These are from a different artist.
Got it.
These are from here. Let me. Because I have two different ones. I have one that I bought from a magic shop that came from a woman who was a witch. It came from her estate sale. So I was very found it very necessary to.
The works card's pretty interesting.
To buy an ex-witch's cards, and then
you pervert. Getting someone else's magic all over your stuff. I do that with books. I'll be like, that guy's smart. Well, I
wanted to clear her magic.
Oh, okay.
And give her the opportunity to have a clean slate in an afterlife.
That's super rad.
And it's not a very, it's not a widely practiced thing, but it is a it's like
Mormons do.
Putting on your halo, so to speak. Yes, in Mormonism, of being able to clear somebody's or in this case it's Scientology as well.
Yeah.
Getting someone clear. In this case, I was able to get this woman clear after death. So we
call the new server the Tartar Bridge. So I'm all on it. I wonder
Yeah,
though,
look,
how do you do it? How did you?
it's the same. See,
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, they are pretty much the same. Which card
they're
is that? It's old boy.
very slight differences though in the actual art style. Because what he did was he had a woman create the original art, and she's on here. Let me see if I can find it. Paint so designed by Aleister Crowley, painted by Lady Frida Harris. That's not on the
Nice.
side of your deck.
Yeah, I think it must be. Yep, painted by Lady Frida Harris. Yep, yeah. So I think we have this. We must have the same deck. My case for my deck looked a little different than
Well,
yours.
on the back right there for the years, what does it say is the most recent?
2006, printed in Belgium.
So yours was the last year is 2006.
Yeah, I got
So
this one when I was in high
This is
school in Europe.
this is 2012.
Oh, okay. So I've
So
got like a slightly older.
yours are older than mine.
I actually have a really old deck back home. I got this when I was in Europe, but I have one that was probably from 1978. It's like the one I have, which like I think the first edition ones.
So this one is the old ladies. It's
Mhm.
from 2006.
Oh wow! So I have the witches one, of course.
You have the witchy age one, yeah.
Well,
So
I
I bought a new deck, right? And I took the magical Xirtus card, the one that has a special symbol on it,
yeah,
and I stuck that into the woman's deck.
interesting. The
They're
Bicurial. You put the new Bicurial card into the old deck.
yes, thereby clearing the magic
Wow.
and making it like a new deck.
Did you remove the old Bicurial card?
It didn't have it. That's the point.
What?
No, but you're not supposed to give out your Bicurial card. She was probably buried with it.
That's smart.
And the idea is that since this is now a new deck with old cards, all the magic from those cards that were created during that procession are now transferred to this new Bicurial. And since I did not perform that magic, it
safe.
It negates itself. It's like the yin and the yang.
That's awesome.
You know, I've sacrificed whatever karma that I would have had for to balance out any bad karma she may have created in her lifetime.
Wow. I mean, I've noticed when I left my deck at someone's house and then they gave it back to me. They brought it to me and now my life is like way more magical again. So I think there's something to that. I also got a while ago, I think last year or maybe it's a couple years now, keeping it topical. I got the Salvador Dali deck. And I don't know if you've messed with the Salvador Dali deck, but I think it's my new favorite. I actually like it slightly better than Crowley's deck. I mean, have you seen, these are some of the cards, the death card is really amazing, but even just like the cup cards are just so colorful and like just really nice. I mean, the cards are just some of the most interesting. I mean, come on, Salvador Dali.
Does it have the same Egyptian curial arrangement as Aleister Crowley?
It's pretty similar. There's not, I mean, like Crowley took certain liberties that were correct, but he was also of the same new age school that was forming at the time. So a lot of it is the same.
So people kind of have a baseline. There are two types of tarot decks out there.
Mhm.
There are Egyptian magic tarot decks, and there are Jewish magic tarot decks.
More like the Rider-Waite style versus, so it's algebra versus alchemy, like the study of the Hebrew and the study of the Egypt Kemet. So Kemet's alchemy. And then you've got tarot versus Torah. So tarot is wisdom through scripture, wisdom through symbols versus through they're both symbols, but one is through shapes and one is through numbers or values is the idea. I can't even really, how do you even describe the numerology that is Hebrew,
I mean, it's more in tune with what can be foreseen versus what can be manifested. So
Gestalt shape versus the significance to people of meta tags, I guess. Like Kiki and Boba.
Well, in the sense of like the new Star Wars movie, it's when Ray is down in the cave, and she's looking at all the versions of herself to the very end, and she can't see the end of herself. It's because it hasn't yet manifested. But the reason it was dark was because Palpatine was attempting to manifest her as dark.
I find it really funny that just literally the second that you started talking about Star Wars, I was thinking about, I mean, granted, you have a Rebel shirt on, maybe is the gestalt that led to it, but I'm thinking like about literally that Star Wars too. It was like the modern Star Wars. Have you seen my new laser cut deck I'm making? So I have a deck of my, I do the memes. So I started making my own deck. Here's my Orgone energy card. And let's see. What's a good example? Oh yeah, the Ayn Rand card, and then I made a Hierophant using certain, I keep meeting people and putting them on. I made one for gadgetology for the worship of the gadget mouse. And and one that was like all about like reclaiming like Freemasonic sigils, because I found like I just jumped in some front lawn that had this giant symbol and did a squat in leopard print pants. I was like, I think we just won. We took over. And so I'm starting to put together my own deck, where I've had these over the years. I would do one at a time. So I've got myself in like
try to find my wedding pictures so you can see something that's interesting on that.
Yeah. I like the Orgone energy though. That's the new BDE. Like that's like the woke dick kind of thing, like.
Why?
Tim Pool is Vladimir Lenin. It's gonna be big. Work in progress.
So I have a picture where I'm sitting in the chair in a Masonic lodge. I got married in a Masonic lodge.
Wow.
How
was that? Did you wear a kilt? Like, what was the deal with the?
No, I didn't do it as a Mason. I did it before becoming a Mason. I mean, the idea is
in early,
Well, yeah, no, I mean, it's something where I want to become a 33rd at some point in my life.
That seems fun. My grandfather went right up to 32nd, and then he decided not to do the 33rd. And I feel like that was,
well, I mean, it requires a certain level of commitment. It doesn't end at 33. Right. I can't. I don't want to describe what happens after 33 because I don't want to pre-assert any breakage of any certain vows that I'm aware of, even though I'm not supposed to be aware of them.
Well, that's the thing that's kind of the thing that's messed up about the whole thing. Like, I mean, at this point, I think we could both be like in charge of Scientology, in charge of Freemasonry to a level, because they don't have enough people that are that committed or interested in stuff like that. But the problem, and I've always had this, is like I don't like the secret keeping thing. I don't think that that's a great idea. I think we need to create the group that's all about free information. We need the Linux equivalent to Freemasonry.
Well, so I see a lot of people saying that. I don't like
Masonry.
I don't like the cryptic design of the organization, but then they turn around and say, "Oh, I love cryptocurrency though."
Because it's part of the new. That's how the world's going to be. So they know how to, Have you seen Honktopia?
Yes, I saw you posted that.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about this. So there's a weird synchronicity story here. I was looking for where are my Illuminati cards? I have those too. Like, I should just bring out all my cards.
A friend of mine and I were working on a game design document for something like that as a video game, but we couldn't really come up with anything. And I went over the materials for that, and I was like, man, they totally did way better than we did.
I know. I really was impressed. Hold on, give me one second. I'm gonna pause again. So back home, Sam Tripoli, is about to have me on the show to do another episode on the Illuminatus card game. So for people at home, if you remember, and apparently a lot of people don't know what this is, which blows my mind that could exist as people that don't know like the Steven Jackson game, or at least have never seen a card from the New World Order game. but I mean, I have all the cards back home, like the entire, like I have a 409 deck. But what I find interesting, this is the I think this is the expansion pack, and then you've got a set of cards in here. Let me pull out some of these. You know, like you've got, for people that haven't seen this game, you've got like the Gnomes of Zurich, you've got the Bermuda Triangle. It's the coolest game. And Steven Jackson, when he made this game, you know the story where he got the government came to his house and took his computers and office.
Did not. I don't have that. Nope. Don't have that story, but I'd love to hear it.
Well, basically, that's the big part of it. Like, so this guy kind of Tom Clancy'd the world. He made this game that talks about like 9/11, and it's 1982. So he's talking about all the things that are going to happen in the conspiracy world, like controlling people through television, Tavistock mind control, church committee hearings, and things that have not happened yet. Pizzagate party card and like secret pizza party card, the frog god. All of these things were included in the game.
I think I remember telling you the last time we talked that there are some things in these timeline restarts that you just can't change, and you know, once you start seeing the repetitiveness of it happening, you have to decide whether or not you want to take advantage of that or not.
Absolutely. I mean, the thing is, if you see, that's part of the idea of significance and Gestalt, tarot and Torah, because you've got significance through like the values of things. But then you like, what was the significance of this, right? But then the Gestalt, where like that looks like a circle, that's boba. That looks like pyramids or stars and points, and the points are kiki. So kiki and boba are like around the world, people can infer which one's kiki and which one's boba from a pointy object and a spherical, a spheroid object.
Except for this one. How do you deal with that?
That's kikabo. I call it kikaboba. But yeah, no, the Star of David is, I mean, you know, like that's as above, so below.
That is the circle of Solomon. Yeah. The Star of David is a pre-organized symbol. So the Star of David within the circle then became like an inheritance for Solomon, which then is you know, permitted as a different symbol.
That's the thing about the as above so below, though, because it's got 18 values, and so like the 3/6 value of a perfect 18. But so I was trying to find this story though really quickly on Steven Jackson before I forget. So Steven Jackson, he found the significance to these patterns and clearly was using the Solomon seal to like pull some magic in, which is what Aleister Crowley did. And we have all the Loch Ness monster stories. But what ended up happening was the government didn't like what he was putting out there, and they thought he must know something he shouldn't know. So they took all of his computers, took his office, raided the place back in like, you know, the early 90s. And he ended up suing and winning like a huge case against the government, because he hadn't done it. He just had picked up on intuitively like what was going on. So, but yeah, I wanted to, you know, and there's a lot of things about the game which are, it's basically the best game. But like Honktopia, I found while I was looking for another deck, because I wanted to get another set, and it's this open source version of the game basically. And I went and I found out I could support them for like $1. I was like, yeah, that'd be cool. Like, good job, guys. But lo and behold, they had sent Tim, my boss, a copy of the game, and it had just arrived. And so the whole day I was getting obsessed with this and eager to get a copy of this. It was sitting downstairs in a bubble wrap container, like it had just arrived. As soon as I got excited, like as soon as it arrived, I go look up what it is. And then I didn't know it was there. And at the end of the day, I opened the box and it's already there waiting for me. It was crazy.
So, I mean, I told you a couple times in the past few months that I'm writing a book, or in this case, a series of books, but they're meant to be religious writings. I'm technically following in the path of the way that L. Ron Hubbard created Scientology. I mean, you have to create written literature for the religion. You can't just say, "Oh, I create a religion." It's called, you know, sectology. You know, you can't do that without having sectology writings. You can't have sectology writings without having a what's called a theory that supports a version of goodwill. In this case, it's opinionated, but still, it has to be something that is a version of what you consider goodwill. And not only that, but it has to be broad and explainable, as in you can't just randomly write things down on a page and say that you can explain them. But if someone else cannot find meaning in that work, then it doesn't uh, qualify as religious writing. So I have literally had to go through every guide and every study resource to know how to write a religious text.
Well, I mean, they're kind of different ways. So you look at
Yeah.
Hinduism loves to do this, like, once upon a time there was a great guy who was perfect, and
Well,
then
they do a similar thing with the Bible.
Christianity is so different. No, like in Judaism specifically, like the Bible and Old Testament specifically are, here's someone God picks, and then that person screws up, and then you get to see what happens to them and their family. Because, like, when David he kills his best friend for his wife. He has his best friend sent to the front lines to die so he can take the wife from his best friend, one of his best soldiers. And that Bathsheba, right? What he gets cursed, and there's consequences to their bad action. Their bad acting has consequences. Not every religion does that. A lot of religions are like, this guy was perfect and like he's a superhero. Like, except for Jesus, that's not a thing in the Bible. Everybody else, it's all about how when they mess up, what has to happen to fix it. Like Leviticus, like people get raped and you owe them their dads 40 shekels and 2 chickens. Like there's a lot of barbaricism and like darkness, and sin, especially in the Bible, which is an interesting, not a lot of religions like that.
I mean, I wanted to read something from my book. I'm a
Yeah,
little
that'd be awesome.
I'm a little just discouraged by the idea, because it is not officially copyrighted with the U.S. Copyright Office. But I've been assured that reading this specific chapter won't mess with my circumstances on that.
Theoretically, like, isn't the fact that you have
It
evidence
is,
that you
yes,
wrote it,
it
it's
is,
kind of an
yeah.
evidence. So
It is copyrighted per se, and I'm never confident enough with the per se likeness to
it is, out of the 2,000 cards or so I pulled up the Monarch programming card. So there you go. There's nice. I mean, come on. This is the best esoteric tarot card we've got right now. And I think what that means is go ahead and read some of your book if you're into it.
I am, yeah. So chapter 5 is called Faith Army. In this book, there are only 7 chapters. There's one prologue. There are 7 chapters. Each chapter is only 2 pages long. So it's meant to be something that is short, sweet, to the point, and it's leveraged in a way so that it gives you more or less, a place in your philosophical learning tree to place a target. So it doesn't necessarily have all the answers, but if you were looking for, a path to follow, this will definitely put you on a path to follow. And it it's a freedom path. You can become a bad person if you like. You can become a good person if you like. I'm not trying to make good people. I'm just trying to give people, philosophic uh, direction.
Well, I mean, two-page chapters is very L. Ron Hubbard. He's one of the most prolific writers, but he was like pretty short to the point, a lot of things.
Yeah,
Like,
I've learned from that writing style.
I'm not against it.
So chapter 5 is called Faith Army. It starts off, when one desires to feel something, one must take part in an action. If one does nothing, thereby choosing inaction in part, then the doing of nothing is still a selected action. These actions one decides to partake of creates specific strategies of potential feeling upon oneself or other selves. Before the moment one chooses each activity, one must first think of actions to plan. The thinking of things makes up an entire army of possibilities for oneself to enact. These thoughts are an armed thinking force one must learn to train and discipline as any drill sergeant would in an army made up of multiple cells. If an idea is a pre trained soldier, behaviors are training warriors of individual will, and feelings are then veterans of post war plans of action or inaction. No will lacks training. One can now educate the planned ideas one has as a capable inner mental force. One has thought and wills it into being. One can now observe the feeling of the action by the planned target. If the target is oneself, then one must recall the emotion one has created within the self. If the emotion felt by one is that which one expected, then one is consciously lucky. In the equation X thoughts plus Y behaviors equals Z feelings, the pre-planned individual will decides the beginning, middle, and end of the mental reality math. Physical reality may not represent a mirroring math function the individual willing self has mentally projected though. The equation Z feelings equal X thoughts plus Y behaviors represent the cause and effect cycle of human choices on each other in post mental physical reality. If one is in fact graceful in this method of real life warfare, one will care if the first equation balances with the second one. Expectation cannot force reality to bend to its reactive will. Unconscious misconduct leads to self-ignorance. One graceful warrior self with a few fully trained thoughts now has a capable fire team of beliefs to enact life war strategies. When one uses this primary group to continue training mentally, this team will transform into a positiveness squad. Building on the previous carrying examples of disciplining the self turns 4 sections into a platoon of constructively trained ideas. An assured thinking company contains 5 of these constructively educated platoons with many positive sections. A confident battalion of arranged thoughts made of 4 to 6 ethically sourced companies evolves into a hopeful brigade of beingness. This thinking army becomes a beneficially regulated, well-trained division of ideas. One then continues to grow further into a practical, consciously knowing thought core, serving the self with tens of thousands of categorically defined soldiers. The final step of correctly directed thinking converts the previous self elements into an effectively faithful field army. The saying faith without works is dead is a joint statement on which one can meditate. Faith is the most potent weapon in the present war of life. When one expects to be correct without comparing expectation with cause and effect, one will be wrong without knowing how to correct oneself if one is behaving falsely. That dishonest behavior without course correction will drive one to constant emotions which inhabit a continuous sense of failure. Failures with character acceptance allow one to experience an eventual course correction through an ever pervasive faithfulness of self being. When one has that kind of pervasive faith, especially after many continuous failures, one needs only to hold on with patience to encounter a miraculous awakening of real spiritual self beingness.
Self-love helps this matter too. When one wields faith as a weapon of acceptance against time, time loses all the damaging effects which seek to destroy the self-being of oneself and other selves. Other selves then witness one having this individual victory in the war of life against time that oneself has, with the potential to motivate others by the apparent evidence of the faith possessed by the victorious ones. Accepting these group faith workings makes all the work worth it.
Wow. So faith to you is the integrity between two orbitals of reality, like two realities, how would you describe faith?
I mean, I would see it as, there's people who choose to not fight war and choose to be a prisoner of war. As in, someone who goes to prison can choose to be a prisoner of time, or they can choose to be free of mind. And that free of mind requires an essence of fighting. You have to fight against time. You have to put up a good fight against time. You can't just expect time to not affect you and go along with it. It will drive you insane. That's I'm the book itself is called War of Life, Soldier On. I mean, it's just meant to be an introductory language communication to the philosophy that I have, which I would like to lead to, the same outcome as, Christianity, which is that, whatever choices you have are just the choices you've made in this timeline. If you manifest a new beginning, it is my belief that you have that opportunity. I can't say what you will become in that new beginning, whether or not you'll start over, or you will, start something new in something else in, some other place and some other time.
So what is clemency, forgiveness, mercy, baptism? Like, what are these atonements all about? Like, how do they work?
I mean, I believe that the universe itself has its own consciousness. I believe that each of us have our own individual conscious universes within us. You get to you get to interrelate yourself in this current universal consciousness. But if you can't, compel that manifestation, then you have a chance to internalize the rebirth, so that you in some ways you become like Jesus did, where, in the religious sense, in the textual sense, it was a conflict that the consciousness of the universe had with our reality, so it went internal and became an individual within the reality, and then learned that there is a greater conflict at stake that it wasn't aware of.
Do you think that we need to
telling its outward self, please forgive yourself?
Do you think we're supposed to live certain lives, though? Do you think, like, we're supposed to make certain choices? Like, is someone meant to be somebody, kind of a thing?
I give a lot of credit to chaos theory, because I believe in I've been trying to come up with a word to pin for this.
K order, D Hawk, K order.
Well,
keep going.
It has a lot to do with what I'm trying to term as equalism.
Maybe like equal potentialism. I think there's things that are
That's
supposed
what
to
I mean.
happen.
Yeah, I believe that
You could probably opportunism.
there is an equal quality to things happening or not happening, things happening bad and things happening good. I mean, the yin and the yang, you know, symbolism is very, powerful in my life. I'm not Buddhist, but I do believe in a balance of the universe. I believe in, the same Jedi force structure of Star Wars, a good and bad force, where on the physical plane, there is it seems unequal, but in the majority of the existential sense, it is always balanced. In the pre-Anakin timeline, there was a prophecy that a chosen one would bring balance to the force, but I don't believe that it was unbalanced at all. I believe that it was just you know it wasn't, there was no cognitive connection to the balance at that time.
Seems like the Jedi were like, kidnapping kids, wouldn't let their parents raise them. And they had this thing where they were like, the balance will be when all that's left is us and everyone else is dead. One Sith was the balance to all of the Jedi. I mean, how fascist were the Jedi? All right. The Sith did nothing wrong, JP. I'm just kidding.
Well, I don't think that the Jedi did nothing wrong either. I just believe that they had their worldview was of fighting evil.
It justified their whole thing. They could murder, because they believed that they were in charge.
They considered themselves better than the darkness.
Yeah, which is what the Nazis did. Or the Soviet Union, Stalin. It's like a kind of fascism, and they thought that like they have to interfere with all government politics, all democracy, everything.
There
had to be
is no light. There is no light that is better than dark. That is my religious substructuring view. There's in Scientology, it's the same as Jediism. It's their light, their version of light side is better than their version of dark side. There's no balance.
Someday we're gonna have to do a video on Darth Jar Jar. I swear he's in charge of it all.
I love Binks, man.
Binks is the genius behind it all, because like he's humble enough, like he knows it doesn't matter what people think of him, so he's willing. In fact, it does. So he can't just act like smart with his act. He has to act dumb.
I mean, that right there is a symbol of the way that I'm trying to put it into perspective. He had a bad beginning of his life, and he was literally exiled from his own
banished for what he did
culture. Yeah. And then
Darth Sidious did that. He's the worst.
And then in the Star Wars philosophy sense, he was returned to his society with good actions that he partook of, mostly not even of his own will. He had goodwill in the end, even though he was a bad, in this case, counterculturalist.
Yeah, I think that that's Ian, by the way. Hall's and the kids.
Like, that looks familiar.
Adam got this drawn. I mean, these are great. Like, this is great. We finally are getting magic cards made. But yeah, I think Jar Jar Binks proves in the K order thing. So you're talking earlier about a word for like equalism and opportunism. I honestly think K order is one of my favorites. It doesn't quite sound like what you're saying. So what you're saying sounds like it has an intrinsic benefit to it for that people potentially could do something. And if they don't, it still needs to be done. So it will be done by whomever can fit the mold. But with D-Hawk invented the ATM machine. And so he was thinking people are going to need their money like all the time, and banks aren't open. Like banks are just like, and they close the door, So like in the 70s, it was like crazy. So like, what we got to do is we have to have machines that you can get your money out of, and at whatever moment you want to. And so it's chaos, but there's a certain amount of order to how it has to work and where they're going to be and how you keep them safe and how much money can be pulled out. And so D-Hawk created the chaotic principles. K order is K ordus, and like it's order out of chaos. It's order and chaos are one. And so, yeah, I think that really defines where, what choices people are able to make and like what could happen. The freedom that came from like the Republic allowed all these corporations to exist. So you have really cool robots that are coming out of these companies. You have really nice spaceships and stuff. The Empire doesn't waste resources like that. So you have less novelty in inventions, but because they're so busy trying to keep this thing controlled, they end up letting people conceding to people having more control over their own lives in these weird ways. Like they're off in the middle of nowhere doing their own thing. They're really not going to interfere too much. Like how much does Luke Skywalker ever even deal with the Empire until he goes to space? So, he's on a planet that theoretically should be controlled by them. I mean, they don't really control their lives as much. So there's a weird benefit to that kind of despotism because it allows for all kinds of chaotic freedoms to emerge,
So a story from my life that's very recent is, my wife's going to hate me for this. She recently got taken for a ride on Facebook. She got taken on a social ride by a black hat social hacker.
Man, I hate when that's like happening now all the time to innocent normal humans. What's going on?
They took her for $300. It was $600, but I'm a white hat social hacker. I mean, I've
you do what you got to do.
Inferred this to you that I have this communication ability to.
You got to keep your wife safe.
Counter support the like we're discussing the bad that's happening in the world. It affected my personal life in such a way where I just I told her that we're going to lose. She originally lost 600 total, and when that happened, I told her that I'm going to get you $300 back. I don't know how yet, but I'm going to get you $300 back. I got to this point where I was able to track down 4 of the, scammers in the network. 3 of them were in Cameroon, and 1 of them was in New Jersey, but he was also from Cameroon. I took the moment that I could to basically spam the person in New Jersey in calling his Google number over and over and over again, trying to get him to screw up. And he did. He screwed up and he called me back on his actual phone number, which then I just blew him up on his actual phone number. So, I finally got him to answer the phone, and I, didn't know he was in New Jersey. I mean, I saw the number was from New Jersey, but I was like, are you really in New Jersey, or is this like a
Google number? Yeah.
Well, I thought it might be a termination line. You know how those work?
Totally.
Most 800 numbers are termination, as in.
I don't know, but you got these Cameroon dudes. You know how they do their hacking? They'll sacrifice a chicken before they do a hack. They're like mixing black magic. They're the only other people besides us that are probably using magic hacking. I mean, they really are like intense. I don't know. So, but they probably made some bad karma.
Well, yeah, they definitely made some bad karma somewhere if God put them in my path.
I love that. Make that a t-shirt.
Because
I want that t-shirt. That's the best.
I convinced the person in New Jersey who has been a United States citizen since 2017 to change his whole scenario. I mean, he's gained so far $1,500 since he started doing this the beginning of last month. Uh, he ended up refusing to return the $300 that he had transferred through cryptocurrency, to the boss person. And I told him, I'm going to give him, 48 hours to change his mind. And
These weird. They weirdly seem like they're connected. So I just have to be like, yep.
yeah. So, I, kept doing my searching, got in contact with two of the other people, was able to get them to email pictures of specific things to me, which then I scraped the metadata and the geodata from it, and was able to locate them directly in Cameroon. In which case, then I paid $15 on Skype for some Cameroon time and called the police in Cameroon. And they were pretty happy with that. They were like, "Yeah, we don't usually get Americans calling
That's so cool.
police on Cameroonians in Cameroon. We usually have to hear from the FBI or something." They said you're pretty much the first that we know of that's ever done that.
The first. You're the first. Real trendsetter too.
Yeah, so just know that the Cameroonian government loves to hear about stuff if you actually have geodata.
I get the feeling they would. The Cameroon police seem like they'd be really excited to have evidence that they
Well,
could go on.
they're always looking for reasons to put people into the iron mines.
Yeah, that's true. Did you see for a while on Facebook, I started a virtual Illuminati card game group, and it was supposed to be 4 people that were interested in playing the card game in a digital form. I was like, we're gonna get some software. It ended up getting filled with Africans from all over that want to join the actual Illuminati, and they're like, where do we wire our $10,000? It's like, oh my gosh, like it's pretty crazy how it is down in South America. I mean, I'm sorry, South Africa, in Africa.
Well,
Sorry.
Central Africa is more like that progressiveness,
Right.
And they have a lot of people from Central Africa who are Freemasons.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like anywhere that the British have been, it's become a Bermuda. Anywhere I've gone, like the lodges are the center of the social networks.
I was able to confer to the person, like I said, in New Jersey, to call his friends Ambongo and Akimbe.
And he always uses their full names when he tells the story.
In Cameroon, and see how they're doing. And he said, "Okay, I'll call you right back." And then I waited, about 15 minutes later, he calls me back and he says, "Okay, man, I see you're serious. I will send you this money as soon as I can. I do it right now." And he tried to do it, but it didn't work, because I guess the person had unregistered the number that he was using for the previous Zelle account from Zelle, so he could not interact with the original Zelle account. So he had to he had to use his own personal account to send money to my wife. Yeah, so he ended up sending $300 to my wife yesterday, and it cleared today. And
whoa.
So, like
That's
I said,
the best story. That's the greatest story ever.
Like I told
Don't
her,
ever mess with John Paul Larson.
Like I told my wife, I'm gonna get half your money back. But then I wasn't satisfied. I felt this like, I need to do more. I need to make a personal sacrifice on my part to put the whole network, the cell network, in check. So for the past literally from today going back to Monday, I have been working against the Facebook account in question, and all the Facebook accounts in question, to be honest, and the emails, the Google voice phone numbers that they're using, and the actual telephone that they're using from Cameroon, and
So you're gonna go get the other 300? That's your plan, or do you want to just stop them from being able to do this for other people?
I wanted to prevent them from
Nip it in the
harming
bud.
American interests for some time. I can't guarantee that it's going to be forever, because I know that they're going to.
Are they what are they doing with $300? So that's the thing. Also, like, maybe you were going to spend that on alcohol, and they were going to spend on rent.
That's the first number. Okay, that's the first number. Then they come back and say, we need 150 more because we got the wrong thing the first time. We got it wrong, and then after that, they say that it didn't go through. We need it again.
Okay.
And from at that point, then they'll continue that process until you realize that you're being scammed.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but that's if people do that, like, isn't it maybe that there? I mean, how could that happen if you have enough money? It's a risk. Someone's like, yeah, okay, well, maybe I'm losing that kind of money.
So I sent a message to them, acting like I was someone like my wife. I told them that I was from Tacoma, Washington. Where should I go from Tacoma, Washington? Oh, this time the Facebook identity says, oh, come to Portland. I live in Portland. Well, before they were telling my wife they lived in Ashford, Washington. So I don't see how they have multiple houses unless they're seriously filthy rich. Why would they be selling dogs online if they're so rich?
Got it. So they're trying to make like it's a puppy selling scheme, and they know Americans will spend $600 on a dog.
So and that's cheap for a Dachshund. So
yeah, America. Well, maybe it's okay. Don't go for purebred dogs. I mean, there's all of this is some self-fault too. You should only get a mutt from a pound.
My wife is not internet socially trained to protect herself from black hats.
Yeah.
And black hats, these black hats in particular, have never run into a white hat like me before.
Oh yeah, I mean, because like
ever.
But they're focusing on trying to get. What are they buying? Are they buying cocaine, or are they buying rent, and are they buying electricity and water for their mother's house?
Well, that's what I mean. Yeah,
they might need it. I don't know.
And that's what I'm saying. I inferred that at the end of the sequence. I told them, I understand that there's a civil war going on in Cameroon right now. I understand that this is your livelihood to protect your nation. I realize that. But you messed with the wrong family this time, bro.
So beautiful. So beautiful.
Like I can totally relate. I just can't let it go.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I got to the point where they asked me for the 300. So I sent them $3. $3.
Nice.
And they were not happy. But they weren't pushy like they were with the people that paid 300. Like the moment that you give them 300, they turn into like these sadistically controlling, you must send me this. No, they have this attitude when you're reading the words. There's that attitude in the words. Whenever I sent them the $3 and I acted like I didn't know what the problem was, because on my side it says 300. Look here. Let me show you. So I'm
Epic.
So let me show you. Let me show you what they saw, and then what I saw. Let me try to pull this up. So they saw. Where is it? Confirm reservation. Where is it? Confirm. Confirm unedited. Yeah, right here. Can I share my screen?
Yeah. What do I have to do do I have to set something up for you to do that?
I don't think so. Oh yeah. Host disabled. Dang it.
Hold on, wait. If I make you host, is that gonna allow you to?
You just disabled screen sharing. I don't know what else to do.
How do you enable
Maybe
this?
I could put it in the chat. How about that? Let me try that. Because I can do file in the chat. Yeah, your computer.
I gotta learn how to use this app better. I'm
I
sorry.
taught my mama how to use it. She does it for court.
That's my mom uses this stuff all the time now. It's
Yeah, my
terrifying.
mama uses it for court. She says she wouldn't have been able to compete in her job
She didn't know how.
without me. Yeah.
That makes sense. I mean, there's always kids using it, but like I liked the guy who had to debate in court as a cat because the zoom filter of the cat, and he's like, Your Honor, I am not a cat, but I am ready to continue the case."
I love it
He couldn't
too,
turn it
man.
off.
Oh, that's epic. Oh man.
He couldn't turn it off for the rest of the court case. It was like, oh, America. Oh, America. I wonder if that's happened before. It's probably like in the Philippines or some other
Rip-off
country.
scams. Confirm unedited. Here we go. Open.
Okay.
And then you can say,
Open
there you
it
go.
up now.
Yeah.
Let me see here. It's opening up in my file thing, and then I think I've got. Whoa! All right. All my.
You
links
might
and
be able to
stuff are-
share your screen, I'm guessing.
Yeah. Where's the button to share screens? Share screen. Boom. Got it. Okay. There's a button for that.
So this is what they saw.
Can you see my? What are you seeing right
I
now?
just see it just says Andreas Xirtus has started sharing screen.
What? This is so useless. Okay, can you? I mean, I'm trying to get it to show. This is so weird. Full screen. Can you? Well, it says send money to, and then from.
Trent, can you call me back, Trent? I'm on a interview call. What about the car? I haven't paid for it yet. So
Well, so it sounds like you figured out a way of they asked for like $457 or $600 and you gave them $3. So but the thing is, then you get to see their bank statement. You can see where it's transferring to, or what?
I mean, that is up to my bank. So,
but you can be like, I wanted my $3 back, and then it can revoke it from them.
well, my bank can then confer with the FBI since I have filed an FBI IC3 report. I filed an FTC report. I filed the CISA report. I filed the Homeland Security report.
Just making all kinds of friends.
I went everywhere. I even went to the AG of Washington State. So let's see.
Yeah,
so let's see. Confirmed. Here we go. So this is what they saw.
I'm opening this up. Confirmed reservation. Wow. So they saw it even though it wasn't 300. It says 300.
It didn't go through yet.
Right. So that's perfect. So you basically
I had them thinking that everything was fine. And then they said, okay, it'll be 30 minutes. And then 5.5 hours later, they came back. No, this is wrong. You only sent us $3. Why did this happen? And I was like, I don't know. I thought I sent 300. I'm gonna have the problem with my bank.
Oh my god.
And they did not know how to react to it. At that point they shifted from mad to, oh, we'll figure this out. We'll figure this out. Everything's gonna be fine. Just try to keep me in the loop. You know what I'm saying? So, I kept tilling the earth, so to speak, until I got to this point here where they're, they didn't know how else to relate it to me, and I was thinking I was gonna have to ask them for the picture itself. So what ended up happening is they. I know that I'm pretty sure you're aware of this, but maybe you're not. But if you get a picture if you save a picture from a post or from a chat strip, when it's applied to the front facing server, the operating server in Facebook, it's scraped of the metadata. And they apply an encryption filter. However, that picture still exists on the upload server behind the operating server at Facebook. So their exact geodata is available to the FBI.
Yeah. So you just have to like start the claim, be like, hey, I don't know what's going on with this, and then they can find out the deeper truth about what's going on.
Pretty much, and that's where it's going to get in the end. So, trying to get to this so this is what I showed them last, and then they sent me. Let's see. Then they sent me this. Go back. Libraries, pictures.
So they're showing you sending the money you're not sending.
They sent me this right here.
Like a pause transfer.
Okay. They sent me this. You see what that says?
It's really small on my screen. 1 second, I'm pulling it up.
You can make out the specific details. You know, it shows them what they see on their received end.
Yeah. So it looks like they're.
It says $3, and then it says 300, 300, 300.
Yeah.
These are other people that they have gotten in the last 4 days.
Oh wow. Okay.
After my wife. So
they're making tens of thousands of dollars.
Yeah, they're making thousands of dollars. Yeah.
I mean, this is daily, so they're probably making.
Yeah, this is daily. So you know, in a year they're making hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Right. Pretty good to be making hundreds of thousands of dollars off of this in Cameroon, probably. My gosh.
Yeah, well, in Cameroon, you know, $1 is like $30 over there.
Yeah.
You know, so technically they're making millions in Cameroon.
Yeah.
On the high hog. But however, the dollar value for weaponry doesn't change.
Yeah.
So technically, they still, you know, $100,000 is only going to buy them 6 to 9 months worth of ammunition.
Right, and
that's only for a small militia force. That's not even for like the whole militia army.
Yeah, the perspective on Cameroon is pretty tough because, you know, they do have a pretty messed up civil war going on right now. They do have some pretty weird politics from our and from European involvement.
I mean, I literally had to meditate for 8 to 9 hours before coming to a conclusion that I was going to, you know, stick it back to these guys.
Wow.
And whenever I was done with that, they sent me this, you know, these two, you know, this picture and another picture that then shows the other person in between that you can't see in that picture, the name. You know, it became aware to me that I needed to put them in check at this point. There's too much interference in you know, goodwill, you know, balance. There's not enough balance in this case. I needed to balance the equation. You know, they have done enough harm. You know, the little bit of good that I'm going to do is going to balance out the situation. So I, you know, got them into, you know, I got them to, you know, send me another one. I got them to email me one at an email address. So I basically got multiple connections from them. You know, they're smart enough to take it, put it into Facebook, download it from Facebook so that it has its metadata scraped, and then email it to me, and also send it to my phone, all scraped. You know, so they're smart enough to do that.
They're not like too lowbrow. They're actually,
you know, but they don't realize that data is available at Facebook.
Right.
So
or I think they probably just assume people aren't going to go that far. Like the way you did it is like a normal person doesn't have access to that data, so they're thinking
no, but
like,
Facebook does. You know, they don't give normal people outside of the Facebook, you know, server structure that access. You know, which is, you know, part of their policy for protecting the public from, you know, from doxing and stuff like that. But that data and that geospatial data still exists on their side.
It's a good lesson for everybody.
And the
actually.
Department of Homeland Security will and can obtain that data.
Almost legally,
that's
automated now.
Yeah, it's like all they don't even have to ask permission from Facebook. They just have a fucking system set up. Everybody knows that. Snowden fucking, totally fucking out of that situation.
Yeah.
They got a giant library. Like, oh, Facebook, gotcha. Download this. Good, we're good.
Right.
Well,
I mean, like you're doing good. That was a good example on how you're, kind of like the tarot deck, like washing the deck. There are going to be people that now can imagine maybe getting out of this Cameroon and doing something more beneficial with their time, become white hats, or, like a good white hat, gray hat technique is like
person in New Jersey.
Yeah.
He's a data analyst at a pharmaceutical company. He wasn't doing this to make hundreds of thousands of dollars. He was just doing it to make extra money so he could go out to eat every month.
You think so? It wasn't, you don't think it was to make the money for Cameroon Civil War?
Because I leveraged trust, in our personal encounter.
But he's not using it for the war. He's using it just for himself.
Yeah. He's using it to have a little bit of gain. He thought it was a crypto investment.
Wow.
Thing, but it wasn't. They were lying to him. And he showed me his account registry. He showed me all of his activity. I got him to trust me to, that I could see that he wasn't, in depth involved as a sophisticated money mule.
He wasn't really
aware that he was a money mule to begin with.
Wow. That's intense.
Which is terrible. He is a person who wants to be a productive American citizen. He doesn't want to be a fucking criminal.
Dang.
And people that are his friends in Cameroon took advantage of him. That happens here.
Yeah.
You don't have to be in Cameroon for people to take advantage of you.
Man, that's crazy. Wow.
I told him that I filed an FBI complaint, and he got scared again. And I said, "Don't worry, man. I'm literally gonna back you up. I put it into the report that you returned money from your private account, that you are taking the $1,200 that you got besides that and are putting it away so that when the FBI come a calling, you can just hand that over, and you won't be considered a fucking suspect."
That's awesome. So that's like the biggest change over.
And if he wants
to
turn coat and be an informant to bring down the greater cell, he has now an opportunity to get his wife here.
Wow. Yeah.
And enjoy the American dream without having to involve himself with these past associations that are going to, get him back to Cameroon, so he has to be a freedom fighter.
I feel like you're the only dude who sees this clearly. I mean, I'm kind of getting it myself, but for the longest time, people aren't going to get that there's a choice you can make that is like a sliding door. Either you get on the train or you miss the train.
That's what I told him. I very much explained that to him. I was like, you believe in what you believe. You have a Christian mind. You have a Christian reality. This is the point now where your goodwill ends or continues to thrive. This is the point now where you either become an American citizen who is also a criminal, or an American citizen who is also a protector. Someone who takes advantage of the American dream, or someone who protects the American dream. And he really agreed that it was something that he believed in. He believed in me. We're now friends on Facebook.
That's hilarious. That's awesome. Well, yeah, I mean, because then again, the thing is, like, if he knows anything about computers or something.
No, he's not very computer savvy. He's number savvy. He's good with math. He's good with statistics. Like I'm
telling you, the random cards I'm pulling up.
He's a data analyst in frickin' pharmaceutical company in New Jersey.
Wow.
He makes a good enough salary. He sends most of that income back to his wife in Cameroon.
Because she can't live here yet.
She doesn't have any social qualities like he has to be able to obtain a green card. However, as I explained to him, when the FBI comes a calling, all he's got to do is agree to
Change
be an
everything.
informant for this for the mega cell, and I'm pretty sure that they would be willing to, you know, provide assistance to him to get his wife a green card as well.
Yeah, I mean, like, this
That's
is
that's what it means to be an American. If you stick up for the societal responsibility, you get benefit. You benefit from that. You know, if other people benefit from your inclusion in that society manifestation, you can manifest things that you thought were impossible. Like, for instance, his wife coming over here. That's what he thought that was going to be something that was going to be an impossible task. You know, and in the last day since he's looked it up, he said that this is definitely something that he's willing to do, and he knows from people that he's talked to, friends of his in California who are Freemasons, that I'm right. Yeah, he can now get his wife over here because, you know, him going to the FBI himself would have just been, you know, him covering his own ass. That's how they would have seen it. But me including him as a victim of the circumstance, as an American who white hatted the situation, you know, into, you know, being shut down temporarily, you know, this gives the FBI a chance to, you know, consider the situation and, you know, act, you know, methodically, you know, while these people are running scared, because that's what they're doing. I mean, moments after I pulled off the veil, so to speak, in the Google chat, you know, on the Google voice number that they have. And I was like, I basically showed them a picture of a yin yang. And I was like, you know what that is? And they're like, what? And I was like, balance. And they're like, I don't get it. I was like, oh, you're going to. And they're like, please explain. And I was like, okay, I just want to say first off that this has gotten really personal. I understand that you're a black hat social hacker, and I understand that. You know, I also understand your circumstances, understand where you're coming from, but I'm a white hat social hacker, and you just met your match. And he's like, what do you mean? And I basically ran down the scheme that they pulled on my wife. And at the end, I was like, now I want the $300 back so that we can recover all of our money, and I want you to shut down your business. And you can keep that $3. Just call it a warning
oh my
and a
gosh.
gift, you know. And at that moment, yeah, I'm texting them in the Google Voice and in Facebook to kind of leave a running chat when they're going to catch on to how dangerous this is for them now. And within 15 minutes, they deleted their Facebook account. They deleted all 17 of the other Facebook accounts. They deleted they basically reformatted their Google device,
Whoa.
which then took away their Google number, and everything's stopped, halted on the chat side. You know, can no longer deliver, on Facebook. If I try to click on the profiles in question, it just says this cannot be viewed. This normally happens when a profile has been deleted.
Yeah. And you're using different accounts to make sure that they didn't just block you, right?
No, I use my own account because that's how fucking confident I am.
Okay.
I tried using multiple accounts. You know what happened?
What?
Facebook suspended those accounts.
Yeah, but what about these guys blocking accounts so that you can't check if they've just blocked you? I mean, if they could have blocked your account, it would seem like they closed their account, wouldn't it?
No, because I've had other people look for those
Okay.
accounts
Yeah.
too,
Yeah. Okay. So there
who
you go.
have been affected by the
Mhm.
scam,
Yeah.
and they get the same message from their chat screen.
So it's,
And
yeah.
these are people who have already been scammed and have been blocked previously. Yes, you can't get to them, but that's not the way it was. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They're
Well, that's
and
awesome.
they're not there anymore.
Yeah.
Like,
That's
they're
awesome.
gone. You know, they're not going to be using those, you know, the history that they have against people on Facebook anymore. You know, any friendships that they had, anything like that they had gathered, any connections that they had, those are all null and void now. And I do believe that they're, I told them about Mbongo and Akembe, and how I got to them, and I said, if y'all haven't heard from them in a couple days, it's because they're in jail and they're going to be doing 7 years in the iron mines. And I have a feeling that that they took that as a direct threat to their own freedom. Because what happens in Cameroon, whenever you get arrested like that, and you get arrested, it's called
hard labor.
It's called political. What is it? Shit, I'm trying to remember what it's called.
Well, trying to get guns and stuff for like a civil war, it's almost always going to end up in a treasonous situation.
No, yeah, well, that's what it is. It's treason. Yes,
Yeah,
that's what they call it. It's like treason here.
Yeah, totally.
And you get the same sort of treatment. You get all of your assets seized. You get family members become watched by the government. Your person is seized. You're thrown in the iron mines, or you go work in the timber factories.
It seems like now you've got a good in with the Cameroonian government. Then we should become friends.
I kind of do. Yes.
We should become friends with them and get a beach house. I think we'd fit in there. They have great food.
I don't want to go there, man. It's like going to vacation in Nigeria,
I'm all about that lifestyle.
I mean, granted, I do have friends in Cameroon, and I do have friends in Nigeria, which is
I want to take a holiday in Cambodia.
A sort of, it's in that case, it's been a gift to me to have these connections.
Yeah. Now you've got this dude who's gonna like want to be your friend for life because you saved him from this horrible thing and probably helped his wife. I mean, flipping a situation from being where they feel like they're a prisoner and they're trapped and they have to do something, there's no options, to, hey, I was outside of your sphere and I saw you and I could give you new options. That's what.
When I realized he was in America, something changed in my my thrill, of the situation. My heart opened up to the situation. I was able to, share an idea of good faith and goodwill with him, and I gave it a limit.
Boundaries and limits. That's what people need.
I put a boundary on the situation. Yeah, I put a boundary of my faith, a boundary that I had, which was the main brick in the foundation of my faith, was hope. I had hope for him for a specific period of time. After that period of time, it was a choice that he was making for him to be hopeless. So, I mean, with that being said, I'm grateful that, he, chose his own freedom, over, the trust that he has for his past associations.
That's right. He could have chosen not, and so you gave him a choice. You didn't make him do anything, really.
No, I did not. I did not make him do anything. I did not have that power over him.
Yeah, but you made it like, if you did this thing where like you offered him the opportunity to settle the debt of karma with you and your wife, and then to begin something new and end something old. And that's, I mean,
in the existential sense, I gave him an opportunity to be truly an American instead of just a Cameroonian.
Yeah, it's pretty weird. I like it. Well, I hope everyone liked this video. I mean, we definitely need to have you back. We need to talk more about all these kinds of things.
When I get my book copyrighted completely, and whenever I get my research data copyrighted, because that's something that's happening right now.
You got to keep working
I'll be
on
able
that.
I'll be able to apply that directly to the call.
Please do. I also think next time we'll do another thing on history of these things. I was realizing the things we were like all about, not everyone has any context of. We should do more history.
Something like in the Facebook post that was about whether God exists and whether we're in a created universe or a universe of creation where we create everything. I have a 3D model, literally a 3D model in Blender that I can show off once the slides that are on the sides, the different sides of the 3D model. According to my friend who's a theoretical mathematician in what is it? Graph theory. And game theory. He says that what I'm doing, research wise, not been done before.
Yeah,
You know,
no.
people do game theory on 2D, uh, 2D boards.
You're the
With
you're the
multiple cells, like cells in a square or cells in a rectangle. You know, I'm doing game theory in 3D cells.
right. We need to get you a VR headset so that you can be immersed in it. When I was in
So think of it as
2012,
like cells within cells.
right. Well, yeah, voxel, like fractal voxelization.
No, not really. No, I mean it's like a 3D cube.
Yeah, not a
So instead of
hypercube that goes
having like
into
a like
itself.
a like a four
Not a
by
handlebar?
four like a 4x4 game theory grid like this, okay, that's on a 2D plane, but placing that inside of a cube so that the texture is on the inside of the cube, and when you turn the cube, the viewer, everything that's facing in front of you disappears and you can see into the cube.
Mhm.
But then the whole thing has a symmetry to it, so that everything has its balance, everything has its comprehension, so I don't have to explain it as a 3D object. If you can see the 3D object and you can see the material on the inside of the 3D object and how it connects to each other, it's those individual 2D sheets that are the interior of the cubes that I'm referring to, that they're diagrams that I'm currently copywriting with the US Copyright Office.
Dude, I can't
But
wait to see that. That sounds like the thing is the copyright office has to copy all that stuff for the military now.
well, the
So
last time we
the
talked,
Pentagon's gonna be in there.
I was just then working on the beginnings of those diagrams.
I was gonna say also we have in that, and anyone who hasn't seen that video, in the meantime, while we're waiting for the
The
next
game
JP talk,
theory stuff.
go watch the
yeah.
prequel talk on game theory, because some of he even has papers that he's designed. You can see some of the early models that he was working on in paper form for that. But I mean, yeah, you're ahead of the curve. You're a sorcerer. You're a wizard. You're a game master. And I think that we need to get this information out to the people, because now that it's at the copyright office, that just means the military has it first. So let's make sure that gets out there to all the people. I mean, it's practical information to use, right? So,
It is, yeah.
well, John Paul Larson, it's been a beautiful talk. I really appreciate having you on. And like I said, let's do this again real soon, and we'll talk about more stuff, game theory and history. It's always a pleasure. And thank you for the enlightening.
Good ending time. My stepbrother from jail, who's on that podcast that I show you.
Yeah.
He's calling me right now. I have to talk to him because I'm a power of attorney agent. And
oh my gosh. All right. Well, John Paul, you take care of your brother, and we'll take care. You take care. We'll love you forever. Recent Tartarians.
Thank you.
Peace.
Have a good day, Xirtus.
Hey, everybody, tune in to Recent Tartarians.
Recent Tartarian.